Hello.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Ew.
I'm good. Um, well, it's a pleasure to get to speak to the two of you. Maybe it's an obscure poll, but you two are in two of my favorite series, animated series, The Life of Times of Tim and 10-Year-Old Tom. I love Steve
Yes,
Didolian's work. So,
he's
and
amazing.
it's safe to say that I've burned through all 16 of these episodes over the last few weeks, and I've had a blast with this. So this is definitely on that list as well. So it's fantastic to get to talk to the two of you.
Oh,
Thank you.
excellent. Excellent.
So I was wondering from the beginning, what drew you both to the show?
Well, for me, working with Andy and Neil was the first thing. I mean, it was easy to say yes to it because I trust those guys, especially Andy is like a comedic writer and everything. And I've worked with them before. And it also seemed like a different world that they were going to explore. It's something that hadn't really been done comedically. So that I had an interest in that for sure.
Yeah, and I was a huge fan of Andy and Neil going into it. And also a massive Indiana Jones head growing up. So when it came into my inbox to audition, I was really, really, really excited.
There's such a fun energy with the show, and it can go in such bizarre places. And I was wondering, because you both in previous shows and films have shown such a great comedic skill. I'm wondering, what is there a different technique that goes into an animated format versus live action?
Well, it really depends on the director and the writer. I think, because for me, like I go into it just sort of asking them, like, what are they looking for? And I've done a bunch of different animated things. So I find it just easier for me to ask them directly, like, how do you see this character? What's the energy? What type of voice or whatever it is? And it was really easy with Andy, and Neil, because they really knew what they wanted. So yeah, it was really easy to do.
Yeah, you really get to, I think, more than other mediums work with writers too, which is very exciting. And like
Mhm.
you get to do it a bunch of different ways and go back into the booth if something isn't working. And you really you get so many opportunities to do the best version of a joke that serves the whole story.
Gotcha. And that kind of leads into another aspect that I was curious about. So, how much of the jokes and dialogue was improvisation versus what was on the page? Because there's so many scenes. I was speaking to Andy and Neil the other week, and one of my favorite moments is in the Bachelor episode that Tim, your character plays the host of. And it's at the end. Andy mentions that it's like there's got to be a new batch. And he's like, it's like Gremlins 2 had a new batch, and then Andy pointed out that you Tim had a improv moment at that time where you're like, it's like, what's that even mean? So I was just wondering, like, how much did that come into play when it came to recording? Was there a lot of improv?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't even remember. I think that was probably something honestly coming from me as a person, because I'm not a gremlin guy. It wasn't like one of my movies or whatever. So I
Uh,
think if I remember right, that response was like, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I think that's what I was saying. Um, but I felt like the with this show, especially, like, there hasn't been a lot of room for improv for me, anyways, because I think it's so story driven, and there's things that got to happen, and it's written very tightly. So if there's ever room for improv, I'm surprised whenever it happens.
Yeah, the writing on the show is so good. Neil Campbell and Andy do such a good job putting together such amazing scripts with their writers' room. So the jokes are already all there, and it's always fun to get an opportunity to improvise and do a version of the scene where you're kind of saying things in your own words. But more often than not, I think what's already on the page is the best version.
these two characters have really evolved throughout the season, one to two. And I'm curious, was there any moments like throughout the two seasons that really stands out as like a favorite of yours that you remember recording and like having like a lot of fun with?
I really had a lot of fun recording all the whip sounds that like I realized how difficult it is, and I was actually kind of hurting my voice after a while. It gave me a lot of respect for Andy's work and process making the whip sounds. It's much harder than it looks.
That's funny. I don't know. I think I have said before, but I think my favorite moment from season one, anyways, was just the introduction of the character, just how theatrical he was, and disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Because nobody does that, but he can afford to do it. Uh, so that stuff was, I thought it was a really great introduction to who this guy was. And then in the second season, he changes so much from what he is in the first season. And that stuff was just fun to play. It was really fun to play like a Bond villain type character who
Yeah.
regrets what he's doing. That's fun.
Yeah,
He's like,
I
oh
love
shit, oh shit, wait a second. I shouldn't have done that.
I love the Bond comparison, because that's exactly how I was feeling about the committee of museum, like the artifacts of people.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite running gags in the show is the U2 museum that has almost nothing to do with U2. So um
So
I am
silly.
curious. So these two characters have really gone, and I don't want to spoil anything for this season. I loved it. But it definitely ends in a way that really builds up to possibilities in season three. Have you guys have discussions of what your characters will be up to in the third season, or are you just kind of playing it by how this does?
Not yet, but I really hope we get to do more.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know exactly what they would do with my character next, but I'm hoping we get to find out, definitely.
And I got a final question. It's hopefully you guys can come up with something, but I am curious, out of former characters both of you have played, real or animated, if they were to be inputted into the universe of Digman, who would best be implemented into the world?
Oh,
Oh.
that's a good question.
Uh,
Um,
I think I used to be have a show called Three Busy Deborahs, and I would love to see all three of us inputted into that world, probably defacing some very important artifact.
wow. I think maybe the ladies' man character from Saturday Night Live would be the easiest, most fun, probably. But yeah. Oh, yeah, I want to throw, but I do this character in Peacemaker that's coming up in on HBO Max. And this character name's Langston Fleury, and he's an agent. And I think that this character would be fun in that world.
Amazing name.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
that great? Langston Fleury.
Well, I mean, I definitely would be all for both these characters being inputted into the show. So those fingers crossed. But I thank you so much for you guys' time, and
Yeah,
I hope you have a great day.
right. You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.